Local news, local topics, local conversation. You're listening to AM Beaver County on 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and 1460 WMBA. Presented by St. Barnabas and streaming live at beavercountyradio.com.
And we're back on this Tuesday morning edition of AM Beaver County. Again, thank you to Tony Cautori for coming in this morning to talk. And now joining me to talk is the mayor for the city of Beaver Falls, Kenya Johns. Kenya, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt.
So, first of all, I'd like to start by apologizing because last time you were here, you invited me out to the event for the 2nd Avenue Playground, and I tried to make it down there, but I didn't go far enough down 2nd Avenue. So that's on me. But from what I've seen, from what I've heard, it was a great event.
Yeah, we had a great turnout, a lot of community engagement. It was wonderful, and I'm excited to see that happen a lot more in our city. You definitely missed out, Matt.
I know. Trust me. I saw it too. It looked beautiful, and again, it looked like anytime you have the entire community come out for something like that, it's a great thing. And on top of that too, it's a situation in which it takes away from this notion of, oh, it's just 7th Avenue, oh, it's just College Hill. No, it's the entirety of Beaver Falls, and that's what makes it a great thing. And it's just one of many great things that is happening in the city. Now, one thing we do want to talk about is that as mayor, you're going to be meeting with the commissioners for the first time coming out. What's that all about?
Well, I'm very excited about that. It'll be the first time that I get to meet with all the commissioners together. So just really trying to understand where we are in the county, just trying to understand like the ARPA funding and where that looks like and how we can do some things to really fix up the infrastructure of our city and things like that. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really looking forward to meeting with all 3 of the commissioners this week for sure. So,
yeah, and it's fascinating you say that because there's already been some infrastructure already being worked on, whether it be the library park being what it is. So when you say things down the line, projects down the line, are you talking about stuff like that, or what other projects are down the line that have they even been announced yet, or is there anything new coming on down the line?
So I don't want to announce anything, because I would rather talk about something that's tangible. We have facts, we have details, we have plans on that. But there are some things that we're looking to work on, and some areas we're looking to work on developing. And, not even just necessarily financially with the commissioners, but just having conversations of, opportunities or ways to connect us with different individuals or resources that we don't know about. So,
okay, that's understandable. That's understandable because that is potentially, going to be a very big financial boost for the city, depending on, what it is they determine and what projects come forth. And like you said, as nice as it would be to have answers right now saying this is going here, this is going there.
Right.
It's not like that. It's a lot more process than that.
Yeah, and honestly and realistically, I'd rather be upfront. You know me, I'd rather be upfront and honest and only present what I know is going to happen than to paint a picture that's not realistic. So
yeah, and it's a refreshing thing to hear. Just saying, listen, this is what I know. I don't know about what I don't know. I'm not going to talk about what I don't know because this is simply what we know here. Because a lot of politicians will base their entire thing on things they may not know. And, for a day like today, election day, go out and vote.
Please go vote.
Yeah. That it's such a, good thing to hear. It's like, I know this, and that's that, as far as what could be, we'll put that in the what could be category.
Correct. And I just think the citizens deserve honesty and transparency. And I think when we set expectations, it's not fair for us to be upset when they're asking for that accountability. So
yeah, and it's very there is that level of ambition saying we want to do this, but at the same time, if you say we're going to do this when this isn't there, and I don't think it would be beyond those in the city or anywhere in Beaver County to say, hey, we said this and we didn't mean that, but we're sorry. But again, that if you avoid that situation altogether in the first place, you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, awesome. Exactly.
Yes. So now, as far as the tangible things that you were talking about, again, I mentioned Library Park. What other projects are going on right now that are sort of already in the situation of, in the process of being here in Beaver Falls?
So that's a great question. One of the next big events is obviously Memorial Day. We have our parade on 7th Avenue. Really looking forward to celebrating our veterans and those that gave their time and commitment to our country. And that's on May 30th. And then another big event that we're looking at and we're planning, it'll be our first Juneteenth event in the city of Beaver Falls.
Okay.
We're really, really excited about that because it's really important, because we don't want it just to be focused on just the city of Beaver Falls. We want to invite our neighbors to celebrate with us, because Juneteenth is such a historic day and it's so important, and our community needs to feel that as well.
Yes, and two, because I know a lot of people will hear something like Juneteenth and they'll sort of have this reaction to it, but the reality is, going back to even the more supercharged moments in recent American history, going back to the summer of 2020, there's been proof that, if an event is happening in Beaver Falls, an event that gathers the community together, it's going to be, at the very least, a peaceful event, because that, what happened back then was, a demonstration of peaceful gathering. And so, in this particular case, it seems like that's going to be the case. And not only that too, but, we've talking with the likes of, Christine Kroger from Neighborhood North. And there's a lot of history that, a lot of people still don't know, whether it be the kids or even young adults or even adults, our age.
Right.
Not to out us as old, but, the point's being made that, there's a lot about Juneteenth that people may not know. And this too, if you're out there to celebrate and have a good time and to learn, I mean, that's the combination of two great things.
Yeah. And the reality of it is, what is the negative that happens when people embrace their culture and understand their culture, and the fact that this is reality? This is really what happened, for African Americans. So trying to understand that and learn that as true history, because it is true history. Like, we have the facts and, the archives. I think it's just really important that we create a space for all people to feel valued and seen.
Yes. And like you say too, from a historical perspective and from a sociological perspective, it's a benefit, but also from an economic perspective, because again, you mentioned, bringing neighbors together, bringing people together, and, you may run into somebody, it's like, hey, that's a great idea. And that might be something to go along with, and, sort of based in this historical context that's there. I think that would be a great thing moving forward as well.
Yeah. And we know that Beaver County has a rich history in that, we look at the Underground Railroad and all that, and the tunnels that we still have here. So I just think it's important that as Beaver County, we start to understand where our roots are and start to dig in and tap into that, but also expand on that and create spaces for new ideas and new thoughts. So
right. We're talking with Mayor Kenya John. She is the mayor of Beaver Falls. And you mentioned the Juneteenth. You mentioned Memorial Day. There's one event in the between that we're going to talk about coming up in just a little bit here on AM Beaver County and on Facebook Live.
Could you imagine a chronic illness where your body attacks itself, damaging your organs, your skin, and be life-threatening? It's true. It's called scleroderma. Help us raise awareness and funds by joining us June 4th at Boardman Park for our 19th Stepping Out to Cure Scleroderma Walk. Wherever you are in your journey, the National Scleroderma Foundation is there to help you find your best path. Can't be there in person? Join us virtually. Find out more at scleroderma.org/BoardmanWalk. That's scleroderma.org/BoardmanWalk.
Did you know that there are hundreds of lawyers in Congress, but less than 10 engineers? No wonder they can't get anything done. I'm Jeremy Schaefer, and I use my engineering PhD from Carnegie Mellon to build a business that has improved roads and bridges right here in Pennsylvania. Engineering requires solutions, and America needs those right now. As a small businessman, I understand the crippling effects of inflation on businesses. And as a husband and father of 5, our trips to the grocery store and gas station have gotten a lot more expensive. In Congress, I'll work to lower the cost of gas and groceries, cut taxes on working families, and bring solutions instead of infighting to Washington. I'm Jeremy Schaefer, and I'm running for Congress to be a problem solver, not a career politician. I'm Jeremy Schaefer, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Jeremy Schaefer for Congress. The ballpark is coming into your living room or the dashboard of your car. That's because Pirates Baseball is on Beaver County Radio. Set the dial to WBVP WMBA 99.3 FM or 95.7 FM, and then turn the volume up to hear the most beautiful sound in the world. Pirates Baseball is sure to be a hit this year, and it's presented locally by the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Express Employment Professionals, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, Falcones Boone Township Board, Keystone Wellness Program, and St. Barnabas, among others, right here on Beaver County Radio.
Broadcasting globally, talking locally. AM Beaver County is on the World Wide Web at beavercountyradio.com and available on the Beaver County Radio mobile app.
And we're back on AM Beaver County on this Tuesday morning. We're talking with Beaver Falls Mayor Kenya Johns. And we had mentioned the couple events coming up, the Memorial Day Parade in Beaver Falls and the Juneteenth event coming up. And there's one in between, and probably the biggest one of them all, which is the Beaver Falls Car Cruise, which is going to be your first as Mayor, Kenya. And how does that feel knowing that, this event that's been going on in the hometown for so many years that, you've probably been to a couple here or there, is now you're going to be part of this. You're going to be part of the opening ceremonies, and, this is your first as mayor. How does that feel?
Well, it's really exciting. I'm very honored, honestly, to be a part of it. I'm really a behind-the-scenes type person, though, Matt, to be honest. I know a lot of people don't think that, but I really am. So it's exciting to be a part of it, honestly, and truly honored to be a part of the opening ceremonies. So many great people. Our marshal is Linwood Alford this year, and I just think that that's fantastic. And the committee, just seeing how the process goes and all the work that goes into it.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot.
Oh yeah, it is a lot. It's a. I mean, even as been a part of a few of them in Beaver County Radio, I can tell you that just on our end there's so much, and then for the actual city to put the cars in the right places, block off the roads, make sure everything's organized. I mean, they've been doing this process for at the very least since the start of the calendar year, probably going back even further. It's a very lengthy process, but it's a very rewarding process that leads to one of the best events in Beaver County all year long.
Yeah, for sure. And I just, a special shout out to the committee that's doing it and to the city, for really stepping in and all of them working together. I really love collaboration, so I really like seeing when people are able to sit together and work some things out. So it's been really exciting.
It has been. That's coming up in a couple weeks, and it's gonna be a great time for everyone in the. Because, again, much like we talked about with the Juneteenth, it's one of those events that brings the entire county together. It brings everybody together because, the beautiful classic cars that are out there and everything that's part of it, the food and the music, it all comes together for this one grand event. And it's been a tradition. It's coming back to June this year. It was on September 11th of last year, so it was a little bit different. But this year it's, back to where it I would say it belongs. There could be a debate about that down the line, but I won't get
Definitely
into that.
Could be.
It could be. But won't start that debate right now. But again, it's just, and all these different events and all these community events, it shines a positive light on Beaver Falls, which, it feels like, I imagine, as mayor, is not heard about enough, sort of the positive light that's in the city. And while you've seen it and you've been a part of that, and we've seen it and been a part of it, there's still that sort of but what about Beaver Falls? And I'm sure that is heard constantly.
Yeah, and that's something that we're actively working on. But like I tell everyone, not just me actively working on it, I see the citizens, which is the part that really is exciting and really matters. The citizens are engaged. The citizens are committed to doing that and really telling the full picture. And not about, because every area has its issues and there's no problem about addressing those. But don't let that be the only focus, right? Like, don't let a small smidgen of what's going on be the focus when you have kids winning national championships down there.
True.
You have kids doing serve-a-thons downtown and, trying to work with their neighbors. We have kids being published authors. We have community members out there volunteering their time to work within the community. Like, there's a lot of other great things that are going on that if you really just look a little bit, you'll easily find it.
And I'm glad you brought up the academic games thing too, for no other reason than this. It proves that it's not just this. There's this sort of aura, not just in Beaver Falls, but all around Beaver County, of sort of the steel mill, Friday night football, kind of town. And there's still a good element of that, and there's nothing to be ashamed of in that. Right. But there's so much more, like you said. There's elements to all different facets of life that are showing through and showing up when it comes to the city of Beaver Falls. like, the academic games, the musical programs are getting better over the last few years. It's I dare call it a renaissance, but it's kind of what it feels like in certain regards.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is, and I think we really, Beaver Falls in particular, that there's enough space for all of us to thrive, for all of us to shine, and all of us have our areas. Like, you don't have to just be in one box. Like, there's so many boxes, and you can break the box if you need to really, to make a difference and an impact. And I think that's one of the biggest things I love about Beaver Falls is there's so much diversity in thoughts and ideas and culture that we really can do some things if we're willing to see our neighbors as neighbors.
Yeah, and not only has that been reflected in what the youth has done and what the citizens have done, but also when you look at the commerce throughout the city, it's a diverse array of different services, goods, philosophies. It's all there too. Going to the olden businesses that have been around for decades and some of the new businesses that have come up, and they're all sort of coalescing together. I know I've had the district authority on talking about how they've all been working together and helping each other out, and that itself is a thing that is should never ever be taken for granted.
Yeah, not at all. The business district is gung ho. One of the first things I remember when we got elected, me and some city council members, was making sure that we engage with the business district, because Beaver Falls is open to business, right? And we know that they thrive our economy, and what they bring here is so important and it's such an asset. That personally, it's really a big deal to make sure that they're feeling valued and heard as well. So, yeah, they do great work.
Yeah, they do great work, and it's a great thing for all these businesses. And again, we're talking about all these different things. The citizens coming together, the businesses coming together, and people thriving on that. What is the next step? Like if I were to ask you sort of from the improvements that have been made so far, what's the next step? Where do you want to see? And I know we talked about things being there and things that we want to see, but in just a direct correlation, what do you think is the next step for Beaver Falls moving forward?
So honestly, one of the next steps will be consistency, right? It's been 5 months me in office or whatever. So I think consistency is key. I think we need to spend at least this next year investing in the community so that they know how we're moving and what we're moving isn't fake, right? It's not a good little, hey, this is a great tagline to do this right now to get you to buy in, and then we're going to disappear. No, I think that they need to know that the work that we're doing, all of us are doing, is real work, and that there's a commitment on my end, the city's end, and everyone's end for us to continue to keep this up and keep each other accountable. So consistency is key. And, from that consistency, great things are going to continue to happen, like these events that have come up. Another event that's going on is the Pentecost celebration on June 5th. That's going to happen at the LGI, where all of the churches in the area are going to come together. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scene where a lot of collaboration and community engagement is happening. And, a lot of these things happen, from just being in the right space with the right people. So I'm excited to see what happens as we continue to be consistent and transparent.
Right. And yeah, that's a key element of it too. But I do appreciate the, using the term consistency, because a lot of times when you hear about these new opportunities, like, okay, it's great that you have a new opportunity, but can you sustain it? Can you, keep that business open? Can you keep these students, graduating at, the level that they're graduating at, stuff like that. And also too, I was curious, when you say the Pentecostal event, all the churches in the area, that means all denominations are gathering.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. That's impressive, because I know a lot of times when it comes to stuff like that, you may have these little, sort of cracks in the fault about, what this means to one and what this means the other. But if it's about in the case of, gathering the community, then sort of you take those lines down, just gather together for the sake of one thing.
Yeah, and I don't want to take credit for any of that, because I'm not a part of that, but they just do good work, and and I think it's just super important to see all of those, because there are denominations and things like that, but to see all of them come together is just honestly just remarkable, Matt. Remarkable.
Yeah, it is. And again, it goes back to the element of thriving, but the question then again becomes, is it consistent? Is this going to be the only event we see from the churches? Is it going to be the only event we see from certain perspectives? And it's not to sort of downplay or anything or poo-poo it or anything, but I think it's you hit right on it. It's going to be consistency down the line. It's not just for Beaver Falls, but all cities. Where it's going to be a matter of consistency, and then once that consistency is established, then it could be more improvements down the line. So I think that's going to be the major test for Beaver Falls, and certainly for someone who, graduated from the high school. Both of us did.
Yeah. Together, actually.
Together. Yeah, that's true. It would be a good thing to see the city and the county too sort of take that same mentality of, okay, establish it, build it, and then keep it consistent. Because if you don't keep it consistent, then all of a sudden you sort of start back at square one, and the only thing you have remaining is memories and possible doubt. So nobody wants that.
Yeah. And that's our responsibility, to make sure that we create that. And once again, I just want to say that accountability piece is super important. People holding me accountable, us holding each other accountable, it's super important because we have to have that for consistency to really happen. Agreed.
Kenya, thank you so much for coming in once again to talk about that. And, we look forward to seeing you, if not before then, certainly at the car cruise on
June 11th.
June 11th. Yes.
Come on, Matt.
I know. It's a busy day.
That's fair.
It takes a second a couple times, but thank you for stopping in today.
Thanks for having me.
Tom Young on Teleform is next with Eddie Crow in hour number 1 here on Beaver County Radio.
1230 WBVP 1460 WMBA 99.3